Now let's move on today because we're getting set for the annual meetings of the World Bank and the IMF. The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, says that emerging market economies have held up remarkably well in recent years, even after periods of global financial turbulence. Now, speaking to a new report released today by the IMF, the chief economist, Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas, says that many emerging markets have weathered shifts in global risk appetite better than before. Now, let's take more from his presentation.
Resilient start of the year. The global economy is showing signs of a moderate slowdown, as predicted in light of higher trade barriers and elevated uncertainty. The initial resilience that we've seen in the first half of the year is largely attributable to temporary factors, such as front-loading of trade and investment. And as these factors are fading, then weaker data are surfacing. Now, turning specifically to emerging markets, several other factors also played a role in supporting activity. As of now, global financial conditions have eased relative to last April, especially benefiting emerging markets, and many emerging market currencies have unexpectedly appreciated against the dollar. This reduces inflationary pressures in these countries and gives more policy space to emerging market central banks to act against external shocks. However, in several countries, elevated debt burdens, high financing costs, and softening growth momentum raise questions about fiscal trajectories. And pressure on the independence of key economic institutions, such as central banks, could erode hard-earned credibility and undermine sound economic policy decision-making. Moreover, financial conditions could tighten abruptly, with major effects on sovereign creditworthiness and capital flows. Now, in such a shock-prone and uncertain global environment, what are the priorities for policymakers in emerging markets? And I'm sure this morning's discussion will provide some relevant insights. Now, let me preview a couple of points. The World Economic Outlook chapter argues that improved policy frameworks have played a critical role in supporting macroeconomic stability, allowing countries to implement good policies. Complementing that, the Global Financial Stability Report chapter shows that many emerging markets with sound fundamentals increasingly borrow in local currency, stabilizing funding, reducing currency mismatches, and allowing greater exchange rate flexibility. Now, thus, going forward, efforts to strengthen policy frameworks should be sustained as they ease policy trade-offs and reduce the likelihood of sudden stops. The policy frameworks are now being tested again as the global economic order is reset and Knightian uncertainty, this is when you don't know what you don't know, prevails. But past resilience should not lead to complacency. First, good policies are only part of the story. Emerging markets have also been lucky to have favorable external conditions in recent years, but this can change quickly. And second, recent gains in credibility and institutional strength cannot be taken for granted. Threats to key economic institutions may arise, including because of political polarization and social unrest, which we are saddened to currently see in a number of countries. Good institutions are critical to implementing policies that can deliver opportunities for all and raise inclusive growth. So now let me stop here and pass the floor to Tobias Adrian, our financial counselor.